Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about Supreme Court Justice decision on affirmative action. It was a huge one last Thursday for all Americans because we believe that affirmative action is actually discrimination and it's judge people by their skin color and race. I have a special guest today that who was at the DC when this decision was announced. My special guest and friend, Xi Van Fleet.
Hi, Lily. Yeah.
Thank you for coming back.
Inviting me. Yes.
I always tell people we are friends, we are Sichuan sisters. There's something about Sichuan woman that is very, very unusual because my co-host Amani is from Sichuan, Jennifer Zheng is from Sichuan, four Sichuan women. We can make lots of noise together.
yeah. I found more and more, and it's very interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of us.
Well, yeah, don't mess with Sichuan women. We're mama bears, and we want to defend our American dream and our country. So tell me about how you felt when that decision, was out that day when you were actually in DC with other groups, other parents.
Yeah, first of all, I want to give a shout out to AACE. It stands for Asian American Coalitions for Education. They have been working on supporting this lawsuit for 9 years, not just a short time, 9 years. They have been working tirelessly to support this case. Actually, I got together with the founder and a few of the members, and we drove to DC, and we found out the ruling on our way to DC. So it's very exciting. Of course, this is historic, and I just can't miss it. I have to be there, and a lot of parents and supporters showed up, and so you can see, and it was live streamed, and. But there's something going on in the Supreme Court soon after, and we have to be evacuated. And we have to go to another side. There's some kind of bomb threat inside the Supreme Court. But there's a lot of media. It's because it's a huge deal, and people want to find out. And of course, a lot of people were dismayed. And soon after, we had a group of people showed up, and there was one Black woman with a card, has loudspeaker, played loud music, and also banners. And you can see her on my tweet. And then pretty soon,
she was upset,
she was very upset. And then soon a group of people gathered, and they kind of follow us. They try to silence us, try to shut us up. So eventually the police had to separate us. And so we stayed there for I think until 1 o'clock. We left, and I saw in the news that more young people showed up in front of the Supreme Court and to protest against this ruling. And most of them, of course, all of them pretty much are young, and a lot of them are the very people that the affirmative action were victimize them, the Asian Americans, and they're there to protest against. They're there to defend diversity. So it's very interesting. It's absolutely polarized. That there's just no way that we can have a conversation and say why we support it. They don't want to listen, and they just want to shut us down. So
it's very sad for me. I follow lots of people. You mentioned it, like the Asian Americans parents who got activated, like you said, 9 years, like for a decade. Tireless efforts to trying to get rid of this quota system so their kids will not be discriminated, their grandchildren will not be discriminated because of their race. But it's so sad to say that the young people who bought into the indoctrination and the leftist narratives and play victims and want to use race to judge people during the college enrollment process, it's a huge generational gap. If they were my kids, I don't know what I would do. It's like mom, dad worked really hard to trying to get you to go to best college, and now you actually turned up, youth against the older generation who truly believe American dream, American values, and they believe otherwise. They believe discrimination based on race. It's just unbelievable.
I think a lot of people don't see it, or they refuse to see it, that this is a win, not for just Asian Americans, even though Asian Americans are the main victim of affirmative action. But people should see beyond that. This is a win for meritocracy. Meritocracy is the bedrock of this country. And also it is absolutely a win for American dream. What is American dream? And of course, a lot of people don't even believe it. But for us, we hold it very dear because we believe, and I think a lot of Americans and immigrants and the people who want to be immigrants believe such a thing as American dream. American dream tells us that anybody, no matter your race, your ethnicity, your family background, your social standing, your religious affiliation, you can make it here. Make it here in America through your own effort, through your hard working, your talent, and your merit. You can make it here. That's what make America so great. And affirmative action is against all this. It's against American dream, because what affirmative action is the discrimination sponsored by the government and by institutions. They decide who should have the opportunity to go to their desired school, and they are the ones and try to give the opportunity from the people with merit to people with identity. And nowadays, you have to be aware. It's affirmative action is not just for people who are minorities, like black and or brown. It is for people with identity. I just heard this from someone who is running for school board in Loudoun County, that she knew someone who submitted her paper for admission, and in it she lied. She said she is coming out as a transgender so that she can get admitted, and she did. So that's what we are going. Identity is more important than merit, and that is not just the killer of American dream. That will dismantle this foundation of this country.
So left side actually preaches for diversity tolerance, but it's only their diversity and tolerance because they're not tolerant. They truly don't believe diversity of ideas and political views. So if you don't agree with them, you are not their kind of diversity. They want you shut out. And like, for example, as soon as the minorities speak up, and we are the face of white supremacy, we are the face of racist Republicans, we get attacked all the time because they do not tolerate dissident views. And I always say this thing is rooted in, this equity thing, affirmative action is actually rooted in Marxism. Look at in China, right? Mao's Cultural Revolution, we both are survivors. My father was illiterate worker, and the Communist Party want him to go to workers, peasants, and the soldiers' college because he was red class under Mao. And he could not do any homework. He got so stressed out. He quit. He said, I'm not doing this anymore because other people more qualified could not get in because they were black class. And he said, but I could not succeed. So he quit. So look what happened under Mao. It's happening here, that it's used equity and the political identity politics to divide people.
Yeah. And also, actually, affirmative, and people say there's no CRT. CRT is a college graduate course. No. Affirmative action is CRT. It's CRT in action because it decides who should giving what based on nothing but its race. So CRT is affirmative action, and CRT is Marxist. So affirmative action is Marxist. And the people say, okay, so we should help the people who are marginalized, who are historically marginalized, whatever. Yes, we should help them. How? We should not help them by giving them something they're not qualified. Rather, we should help them to be qualified, to be prepared for challenges. And how? And that is the failed schools that made this a problem. The failed school in especially inner city and in democratic controlled areas, they do not teach the kids academics. They do not want them to succeed in math and reading and all these basic skills. They just want to indoctrinate them. And we have seen the report of they are just miserable failure of our public schools. There is the problem. It's more than that. And a lot of the so-called marginalized community, this kid, they don't have the right support from the family, but because a lot of them are from single mom family, because marriage was dismantled, family is dismantled, the church is dismantled, and that is what's going on, and that is the thing that the left has been pushing. And now in the finish line, they want to just pick and choose who should go to elite college. And that is a
government laws, by using government power to push.
Yeah, it's a government-sponsored discrimination, absolutely, and it's using force.
Right,
Yes.
and you were absolutely right. By creating a nation of victims based on CRT, based on race, and not based on meritocracy, and we cannot achieve excellence at all. Plus, we are not doing minorities any good. It's
No,
like a
yeah.
both everybody will be abused in this system. It's like my dad could not handle the schoolwork, and the qualified people could not get in. So you abuse all both groups. Another issue that I want to mention that Democrat controlled states and cities, they do not allow parental choice in schools. They do not allow anything that for parents to decide, hey, this public school does not fit my children's needs. I need to go to private school, but I don't have money. So how do those minority people do that? They're stuck in interfering in schools, and no fathers as role models, and sometimes the churches, they're demonized, and so lots of the kids grow up without role models, without God and faith, and without individual merits and hard work ethics. Then they just say, hey, I'm a victim. It's not the American way when you turn everybody into victim. We're supposed to be victim too. We come here as immigrants with nothing, right? And we're supposed
But we
to be
don't want to
oppressed.
be. We choose not to be. But there's something also very important I want to bring to people's attention. Affirmative action is against meritocracy. We talk about it. It's against excellence. And what's the result? The result is that we all become victims, every one of us, when we do not have excellence. When the diversity and affirmative action and CRT win, we're going to have failing bridge. We're going to have failing airplane. We're going to have failing pilot. We're going to have failing doctors. We're going to have a total collapse of our society because they will be run by people with identity rather than by people who are excellent and who are real expert. We had that in China, and I tweeted two things just to demonstrate that. One is this is something a lot of people are not aware of, but Lin Biao was a hand-picked successor of Mao. After his failed coup, he fled to Russia via Mongolia, and the plane crashed. And according to what I know, and according to some report, that was due to pilot error. And the instructor of this pilot revealed that his student was not up to the task, but he was chosen to be the pilot because he was red through and through. 3 generations back. That means he was an offspring of the proletariat, and he was a party member, and he had all the good political qualifications. That's why he picked him. And then Lin Biao and the group of them were just the lucky one to be on the plane that day and crashed in Mongolia. And it's something that is happening right now because the United Airline committed. They're going to have by whatever year, I don't remember, half or more than half of their pilot will be minorities. Rather than say we want all our pilot to be the best, very best, because the public's safety is in their hands. No. They want to go by identity. So eventually, when this becomes the norm, everybody will become victim. Everybody.
Maybe it is a plan. That's how they can bring down the greatest country on earth and still that the shining city on the hill for freedom. Look at China, right? I mean, China, on TikTok, on their educational curriculum, they're emphasizing math, science, STEM, technology. And here, we'll emphasize all these social issues and transgenderism in schools. Our kids are failing in testing, in math, reading, and science. And how are we going to compete? How are we going to maintain even the largest economy in the world? And so I don't get it. Why we are, I have not seen one single Democrat elected official coming out to support Supreme Court decision.
I have to say, the popular candidate, Robert Kennedy Jr., he came out against it too. Yeah, so it is absolutely across the party line. They are for government-sponsored discrimination. And you said why? The reason is simple. They are not. They don't care about excellency. They don't care that what they're doing will weaken America, because what they care is taking power. They want to destroy the society so that they can take power. That's exactly what happened in the Cultural Revolution.
Well, my own Congresswoman and House of Representative Ann Custer tweeted on June 30th that she saw this was just a big blow to all the minorities. It's like, what? You don't support, understand the 14th Amendment in the Constitution? It's an equal protection under the law. Our American dream is what? To me, it's freedom, prosperity, and equal protection under the law. We have man-made society, rule of man. This is rule of law country. But all the Democrats don't seem to even understand the Constitution and don't understand rule of law. It's just mind-boggling. I hope I can, defeat her next year. Actually.
Yeah, you have to. It is CRT. CRT believed that the people, like the white people, they're born oppressors. Just because they're white, they have this privilege. So they are born oppressors, and the people, the minority, they're born victims, and they can't thrive in a country like United States. And that's exactly what affirmative action believed, that they don't have the ability to compete. They don't have the ability to.
So insulting.
Yeah, it's absolutely. That's this affirmative action is CRT, is racist, and is Marxist. And actually, I made a meme, and I haven't posted it, but I can read it here. Equity is the enemy of equality. Equity is the enemy of excellence. Equity is government-sponsored discrimination. Equity can only be enforced by force. Equity is communism leading to injustice for all. That's what the equity is, and that's what affirmative action is.
Been calling that equity is communist term.
It is. It's absolutely. It's not it's the concept is communism, and it's been implemented and failed miserably by now. And so that's something people don't know. We are no strangers to affirmative action, and we know, and we saw it fail miserably. And so yesterday's Fox News interview that I had, and I talk about it, and then they loved it so much they wrote an article about it. What happened in the Chinese Cultural Revolution is that they had this grand experience called affirmative action. Exactly. It is affirmative. They abandoned college admission test, all gone. No examination necessary. What's the qualification? The qualification is just you have to be the offspring of the red class, of the proletarian class, and you have to have the recommendation of the party leader based on your political standing. And so the first time that they admitted those students, more than half of them only had elementary school education. Like your father did not even have any education, but doesn't matter because they had the right qualification. And so they are called workers, peasants, soldiers, college students. And of course, everything failed. And afterwards, after Mao's death, their diploma was just a piece of trash. It's not recognized anywhere.
That's why I posted too. I said, cancel the meritocracy and cancel science, cancel tech. Do you know that University of California school system? I mean, their colleges already dropped standardized tests because they want to push for equity, but the voters voted to reject the affirmative action in California in the 90s. So a couple years ago, they abandoned all the standardized tests. That's another way to discriminate against high achieving students, especially our Asian kids who work butt off to go to best colleges. I met this old couple in Colorado when I lived there. They sell Chinese like pastries, roast duck stuff. They told me they save every penny to get their kid to go to Harvard. That time, 10 years ago, it's like $50,000 a year or something. Imagine that same couple who saved all those time to put their kids into best universities and Ivy League schools, then being told, we cannot let them in because you got too many agents. We have quotas. I mean, that's just the American dream killer. And lots of us come here with nothing, without collections, without money, without influence, without power, without legacy admissions. And now their kids cannot go to best school. How is that helping minorities like Asian Americans or other minorities?
Yeah, I know, but I really want people to not think this is only an issue with Asian American. No. This is an issue that is much bigger than the Asian Americans. It is absolutely assault to meritocracy and to excellence. Look at Biden's administration. Look at them. They are full of identity and they have no talent. Look at the press secretary. Yeah, she was so proud of herself. She is making history. She is historic. Why? Because she is Black, because she is homosexual. That is what the message we're getting. You don't have to be good at anything. You just have to get identity. That's why one of the reason, if you can't get identity, you create identity. You become trans, you become non-binary, you become whatever you identify yourself. As long as you have identity, you have a good chance of getting what you don't deserve. That's what I think is what the result of pushing affirmative action. Okay, link this all together. Affirmative action is CRT. Affirmative action is DOI. Affirmative action is Marxist. Affirmative action is communism. That's it.
Well, that's why you and I have to warn people all the time what we are fighting against in this country.
Communism.
The identity politics is, of course, communist tactic to use to destroy a culture, a nation, a society, a free world. They're everywhere in Western countries, not just in the United States now. So I really look forward to actually having this event with you in Clearwater, Florida, on July 20th. So we will be, speaking together on cultural revolution in South China and in today's America. And if you can follow us and check us our Twitter, and then we will share the events and hope people will come. So here's another question for you. How do we get our children to wake up to this, they know real history, know what's going on, and not to be really weaponized, used kind of like a red guards, and even against their own parents who work very hard to put them into schools.
Against their own interest. Yes. They are fighting against their own interest. Yes. How is education? And because they got indoctrination, to get them back, we have to give them proper education. That's why the Moms for Liberty is working on school and working on parental rights. And we, as the survivors of communism, we should work harder. We work very hard, but I think we should work harder to get the voice out and say, you are going where we came from. And I can tell you, not from some book I read, I can tell you from my own experience what it is like to be the place that we came from and you want to go to.
But you and I probably, I don't know about you, but I got attacked, lectured all the time. I did not survive real communism. Like I'm lying about the mass famine because I was born after Mao's mass famine. All that. Yeah, so we are lectured as survivors of communism. Those people, it's like do they understand? They'll be the first ones.
Of course they don't. Of course they don't. Yeah.
And so I hope people will follow you on Twitter, and you have also a book coming out in actually October, Mouse America. So do you have a definite date? Can people pre-order now?
They can pre-order. They can just search my my name, Xi Van Fleet, VANFLEET, and the title is Mouse America, a survivor's warning. You can get it in Amazon, but you can also get it in other major booksellers such as Barnes & Noble, Book a Million, and I think several. But the easiest place probably is Amazon.
Yeah, we will put all your links, in the video below when we publish this interview. And I guess we just have to keep speaking up, and we get hundreds of people like us, and form the unified voice. We can make a huge impact, no matter what. The battle is not over, right? It's not.
No,
over.
It's not. It's just it's a new stage. Yeah, it's not over. They're not going to give up. They are not going to give up.
But it is a huge win, though. So
it is absolutely.
It is a huge win, and hopefully we will move forward and to American excellence, meritocracy, and American dream. Well, thank you for joining me, Xi sister. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.